I really need to start drawing up little note cards with bullet points regarding what I'm going to talk about before I make videos, just so I have like a clear idea of what I'm going to talk about. And just if I have those notes, it's going to be these videos will be of much higher quality. But I don't have time for that right now. Or I do, but I'm not. I don't feel like doing it. So, but in the future, I will from now on draw a card as notes, as bullet points of what I'm going to talk about before I make a video. Now, right now, I have 12 pages for my research paper regarding education, regarding the problems with the didactic model. The teacher tells you, he lectures, you read the textbook, which you read uncritically. You download the information from one source, one biased source. You memorize it, and then you recite it in the form of tests and essays. This mind-numbing practice of memorization and reciting without any thinking in the process. And I argue instead for the inquiry-based learning model, where you allow the students to come to their own conclusions. You either have with social studies, it's a research-based model. You have the students like every month or every 6 weeks write a research paper regarding a historical issue or a recent or a contemporary issue, such as the Vietnam War, the Iraq War, the current financial crisis, the Great Depression, our current president or any former president, or our current administration, any former presidential administration, if you want to widen the scope of it. And that also allows for compare and contrast essays. You can do both. You can study both simultaneously so that you can see where history is repeating itself and where new trends are also emerging. New things are occurring that have not been seen before. And something unprecedented is occurring in the course of human history, which is an ongoing process. And that involves higher order thinking skills. If you can relate the past to the present, you're learning from history. If you just study history without relating it to the present, it's useless because you don't learn to see the parallels. That's why men never learn from history. You have to study the past and the present simultaneously. Study the Vietnam War and the Iraq War at the same time. Compare and contrast them. What is similar and what is unprecedented? What is unprecedented? Where is history repeating itself, and where are new trends emerging? How's the internet changed the perception of the Iraq War, changed has social media impacted how people communicate with one another regarding the Iraq War? Has it impacted our ability to carry out military operations? How's things like WikiLeaks? How has it impacted foreign policy? And were we justified in going into Vietnam, or were we justified in going into Iraq? These are all very important questions that need to be researched. And students need to come to their own conclusions. They don't read a single source about it. I would provide students with 3 opposing viewpoints on these issues, on contentious issues, and say these are 3 essays. I'd also I would assign 2 documentaries of opposing viewpoints, 3 essays. And the point of the documentaries is that they get you, they dramatize the issue, they're very emotionally moving, they show you in a very visual and very powerful way the importance of the subject and get students interested in it. So you can show like Iraq for Sale, or a documentary that is a counter to that. That's that says that the Iraq War was a just war, and that the criticisms of it are unfounded, largely, and that if we hadn't invaded Iraq, we had invaded Iraq for good reasons, and have students research it, and then compare and contrast that with the Vietnam War, which could be an entirely different case. We may have been justified in going to Iraq but not into Vietnam, or vice versa. And you have to be able to distinguish between the two and know where there are differences and where there are similarities. Regardless, I have 12 pages on that, but I really should have 24. So I cut out the half that cut out the weak half and keep the strong half, because I want a really strong research paper. I actually have twice as much writing as I need, so I can pick out the best material, the most relevant material, and leave out the stuff that's weak and largely irrelevant to the thesis. It's not as persuasive, it's not as important. And then leave the other 12, leave the other stuff for perhaps for usage in other writings and things that I post from my website, things I post online, things that I use for my website and for my podcast, things that I can discuss in podcasts and use as a starting point for a conversation with someone else who's interested in the subject, interested in innovation and education, which we need more than anything else right now. The problem is that students are not learning how to think. They're not learning how to conduct research and analysis. They don't come to conclusions based on looking at several opposing viewpoints on an issue, and then using critical thinking, using logical analysis, being aware of logical fallacies, both formal and informal, being aware of cognitive biases, that is psychological fallacies, like groupthink, the confirmation bias. Groupthink, if the group believes it so, it must be true. If the group you're in believes it so. Confirmation bias, where you only look for evidence that confirms what you already believe, but do not evaluate evidence that is contrary to that does not support what you believe, but rather refutes it. The Semmelweis reflex, which is very similar to confirmation bias, but where you immediately reject information because it's outside of your current paradigm, and the in-group bias, where people that are outside your group, say you're a libertarian and the person's a liberal, and you assume that what they're saying on the subject is false, and that they're a bad person because they're part of the liberal group and you're part of the libertarian group, and you have this sort of herd mentality. Or you prefer people that are in your own culture or your own race or your own ethnicity or your own city and what have you, over other people that have the same accent as you, and people that are different are automatically suspect, and they're not treated the same, even if you've known them for a while. If you've known them for a while, they may or may not become part of your group, part of your clique. It's a foundation of racism, foundation of prejudice, foundation of partisan nonsense, where the Republicans and the Democrats just antagonize each other and don't have a productive dialogue. Not necessarily ones in Congress, because they're all scumbags and they're just fighting over who gets a bigger piece of the pie. They're all insider trading. Feinstein went from $1 million before she was in Congress, and now she's worth $150 million. Yeah, because insider trading is legal for congressmen and women, and it's ridiculous. I forget the other guy that made a ridiculous amount of money. I mean, they all do, but I'm talking like that's 150 times what she had before she got into Congress. The other one that went from, I think it was like 5 million to 100 million. But Feinstein, that's ridiculous. 1 million to 150 million? Really? As a congresswoman? Insider trading? I mean, can you have any self-control whatsoever? You really have to make it that blatant? But who covers this? Nobody. Anyway, I'm just sort of ranting. It was a good rant, though. Maybe I talked a little too fast. When I get on a roll, that's my problem. I talk too fast for a lot of people to comprehend what I'm saying, and I get even worse. I can go like 200 words per minute and just like go like Eminem style, where it's like not only am I speaking very quickly, I'm speaking on a subject and bringing up new ideas that people have not heard before, and speaking about academic subjects, and political subjects, and using terms that people haven't heard before without defining what they are. And that's a problem. It's a problem in my communication skills. Now, if I was in a debate club or a public speaking club, I wouldn't have that problem. I would have developed much better speaking ability. I would have developed a much better ability to debate people. a much better ability to communicate in general. But I won't have that until September. So I'm waiting on that, and I guess I'll spend the rest of the day studying for my chemistry exam that is at 6 o'clock. So I have 8 hours, really. I mean, I have other things to do, so maybe I'll get like 5 or 6 hours of studying for this exam. But yeah, over the summer, I haven't been eating any junk food the last week, and I just feel way more energetic. My cognitive function is much higher. I noticed I'm much sharper. I can think much more clearly. Whereas before I had very severe brain fog, but it's cleared up, and so much of it is connected to diet. Next thing I want to do is cut out all garlic out of my diet because it's been shown to decrease neurological function. And they actually have done EEG studies, and strangely enough, garlic prevents you from getting into higher brainwave states. It's kind of like preventing your computer from using all of its random access memory. So it's like having a bunch of malware on your computer just slows everything down. But I always eat my steaks with ketchup like a little kid. So I've been getting a lot of garlic into my diet because there's garlic in ketchup, or at least in most ketchup. But I'm gonna cut that out and get an alternative, something it's something that's healthy, but also you can dip a steak into. I need to learn how to cook steaks better because I never cook them where they're juicy and delicious. Like you get in a restaurant, they're always kind of dry. And that's guess why I use the ketchup. But also use what I liked before was tenderizer and something else. But I gotta learn how to cook a good steak. That's something I should look online. And I'm gonna learn how to cook over the summer too. There's a lot of goals I'm gonna have. I think my next video will be my goals for the rest of 2013 because I really dropped the ball. But my goals are really for the summer because my goals are going to change once I'm at Weiner and I'm at the university. But I'm going to make very specific goals for this summer, and that'll be my next video.